Hello and welcome to this new video. Now today we are outside. It may be going to move a bit because it's on a fairly unstable table, and the noise you hear is from the road and traffic just behind that bush in the background. But it was, I think, nice to be able to shoot outside for once, and then you get a better quality with the camera, which is good. Okay, so here today I have a whole bunch of samples from the Rhodia Heritage collection, and that's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you all of this collection. But first, let me explain what this collection is. It's a limited edition from Rhodia of notebooks that are a tribute to the creators. So basically this collection is a tribute, and they say it brings neo-retro patterns to life in an urban and contemporary style. I must say I really adore that style. It's pretty nice, and it comes in two colors, as you can see. One is anthracite. I have no idea how you pronounce that. I would say anthracite, probably. And rough, which to me is white, black and white, but it's a bit more complicated than this. So they come in 5 different patterns in these 2 color variations, and I have all the different patterns so I can show you. One of my favorites is the tartan. So it comes in this color, and then it also comes in this color, right? The anthracite, I'm sorry, and the rough. Then you have the how would you call it? The herringbone pattern. Where's the herringbone? And I have this one only in this color, I think. I would have loved to see what it looked like in the black color, but it is nice. It's not my favorite design though, this one. Okay, the next one is my absolute favorite of the whole collection, and it is the Escher. It's a tribute to the master of optical illusion and impossible objects, and as a teenager I just loved MC Escher's work. So, and I think it is a lot nicer in the darker color. So these are the Escher. Then you've got another one which is actually my second favorite, and that's the quadrille, what it is in English, checkered. Okay, so we call that quadrille, and then you call that checkered, and it's a kind of homage to the regular square design 5x5, and it's like it looks aged like this. The point is that it looks old, and it is nice. So this one is one I really like too. And the last one is what we call moucheture, and that you call all over flecked design. Right, it is flecked or moucheté, as we say in French. And here again I find the darker shade kind of nicer, but it's pretty subjective, I believe. Right, now let's go to the different sizes and different forms that you can get that into. So as you can see on this one, this is hand stitched, and these are all handmade notebooks, and they use the regular Rhodia paper with a special design, which is the orange color. So this orange color is a reminder of the Rhodia original notepad. So that's where the tribute is. You've got this orange color everywhere as a reminder, and you've got the black design with orange and the white design with black and orange, and so it's a reminder of the origin of Rhodia. And so they use a kind of the orange color as a thread throughout all the collection, and that's kind of nice. And the paper you get is exactly the same in all these notebooks. It's a 90 gram per meter square Clairefontaine paper, and just to give you an idea of what Rhodia means, first, it's kind of national pride. It's a French maker, but what's important to know about them as well is that they they possess the whole chain of making, from planting trees to cutting trees to making paper, then to making these notebooks. And this brings a lot of jobs to us in France. So it's kind of important to me. In my opinion, it's something that matters, but the paper is also quite famous for its very nice quality, and it's considered one of the best references in terms of writing quality and comfort, especially if you like fountain pens. And as I say, if a paper performs well with fountain pens, it's a regular pleasure with almost everything you will throw at it. The only thing that will not, but no paper will actually resist this, is a marker. Well, that you will need, like watercolor paper. So let's come to this. These are all made with the same paper inside, which is a 19 gram per meter square Cleveland paper, and outside the covers are all cardboard kind of covers, and these are 300 gram per meter square watercolor paper from Etival, which is where Cleveland is located. Right, so that's watercolor paper. And it's a stronger cardboard, but it is cardboard. It's not the same covers as you will get in the Rhodia collection, for example. No fake leather in this one. But it's actually kind of nice, and it turns out that it allows to, for a very cheap price. When I first saw that collection, I thought the price would be more expensive, but it's quite different. It's actually cheaper than the rest. So this one, for example, is a notebook that stands at around 5 euros, even a bit less than 5 euros, so it's really not expensive at all. And these, let's start with this one then, the Soon Spine notebooks. They come in two sizes. I have the two sizes to show you, and these ones fit perfectly in an A5 leather cover. That is absolutely perfect. So what's particular about them, and I will not show you all of these because it simply would take a lot of time, but let me show you just two different ones, which is the squared one and the grid one and the line one. So you've got two sizes. This one is a 19 per 25, and for you in the US, that's a 7.5 by 9.8 inches. Right, and so it says it's got 32 sheets of 90 gram per meter square paper. And this one is exactly the same, except it's a perfect A5. 5.8 by 8.3 inches. Alright, so let's have a look inside. So here you've got your watercolor cardboard paper, and then you get that orange grid, which looks a bit pink to me on the ivory background. So as you can see, this is white and the other one is ivory. So it's kind of creamy color, and it, well, I may have an eye problem, but it comes out a bit pink, that orange on the color. So you've got a square there to put the date, and you can use that perfectly as a bullet journal. And then you've got that flap, which can be used as an index. You do not have page numbers though, but you can use that as an index, and you can use that as a page mark. Right, and that's hand sewn with the orange thread that I showed you before. Now the other, too many cars. The other color, usually we do not have so many cars, and we even had trucks and a plane. I had to stop the video before. And there you've got the lined one, again with that square at the top, and those lines which are orange, but it's actually hard to see the orange come out so much because of the ivory color of the paper. Whoop, the camera has trouble focusing, it seems. Right, it's done. And so this one is a lined one, and here you can see I wrote with a fountain pen, which is a Pilot Prera, and you end up having a little bit of a little bit of ghosting, but not much. It's not very annoying, and there's absolutely no bleed through. And on the other side, the ink comes perfectly. There's absolutely not an inch of feathering on this. Right, and so this is larger side, and it's exactly the same. They all come in the same fashion, the small size of a larger size. And on the black one, the flap is dark on the side as well. So let's move on to one of my favorites, and you will see lots of these coming soon, because I was sent these as samples, but I actually bought plenty of these. So and everything came at the same time. It's like something that you cannot really control. Right, so in this part we're going to talk about these notepads. And first let me tell you a bit about the history of these notepads. I've talked about this before, but not everyone watches all the videos. And the stapled notepad was created in 1934 by Henry and Robert Verillac. Henri et Robert Verillac. And up till then, the notebooks had been glued and not stapled. And so that's a new one, and it had a lot of success, and it started the famous Rhodia fashion or notebooks. Well, it started the Rhodia brand, basically. Right, and they always produced notebooks that had two characteristics: very high quality on one side and a very simple épure design. Very pure, very simple, very nice too. I absolutely love that type of choice in terms of design. And as a colleague told me recently, it's like design actually matters. Well, I think I may have rain now. I'm protected, doesn't matter, and none of the notebooks will be touched by the rain because I'm under this. It's not going to be easy. Okay, so the staple notepads come in just one size, which is the A5 size, which makes them quite transportable. Like these last days I went to work with this type of size notepads because I put that in my bag and I didn't need a bigger bag than what I usually take. And here again, yeah, you can hear, can you hear that? Click, 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 that's the rain. Okay, fine, I'll deal with that. Okay, one characteristic of this notepad is what is called sans griffe. And it's a pun, it's a French pun that would translate in your language as without claws. Because if you turn it to the other side, the staples do not show. And that means you can use these on your knees, on your clothes, and it won't tear them, which is nice. Again, the cover is a watercolor paper, and they come in, well, do I have another one which is squared and nothing written on it? Yeah, that's the one. And basically what you can do with this, you've got lines prepared for your paper to bend, and it completely bends like this. And then you've got a micro perforated holes, and what I can tell you about this is that in regular Rhodia pads sometimes you tear off the paper and it doesn't come out properly, but in these you do not have any issues, and neither do you have them in the Rhodiorama higher quality notepads. And as you can see, the grid occupies absolutely all the place. Here it is. Here you can see that orange color comes out quite nicely. Right, and you've got in a lined version. Let me show you. A lined one. Alright, I did pick it up. As for the writing, the paper is absolutely the same as in the other one. And just for your pleasure, I wrote this because I read or hear many people talk about the way we write in France, which is cursive writing. So it's my own adapted version of cursive writing. So I said, for those of you who enjoy cursive writing, this is what every single child in France learns at school. And for your own pleasure as well, know that many kids I've started writing and learned to write on Clairefontaine paper. That was my case, that was the case for my husband too, and that is the case for my son as well. I actually find it very hard to read English and writing, which is true. And writing on this Rhodia pad is a real pleasure. It's like that paper is buttery smooth. If you like to write with ballpoint pens, this will be buttery smooth. And it's very pleasant. no scratch under your pen. It's very, very smooth. And that's the characteristic of Cleventon paper. Is there anything left? No, on this one I think we're done. So let's move on to the last one, which I think is an exciting one. I do not have all the sizes. I only have the 19.25 centimeter size, but it does come in that size as well. Well, let's put that here for better contrast. So it does come in this size as well. And in the A5 that would be just perfect if you want to have two different notebooks in one leather cover. That would actually be perfect. Okay, so what's the characteristic of this one? Well, they have a row binding. So if you take a Rhodiorama notebook, for example, many of you will know what that Rhodiorama notebook looks like. Well, it's got a cover on top of this, but basically it has this under the cover. So the left, the row binding, so it makes it look a lot like Asian notebooks. You can find them with that row binding, and it's a little bit sticky to the touch. Very, very little, but it is a little bit sticky. So this one is the anthracite in the flecked cover, and this one is the rough color in the Escher design. Absolutely lovely. These ones are quite interesting for those of you who do bullet journaling, and I will show you why. Let's have a look inside. So you've got two possible versions. One is the square grid with 5 by 5, and the other one is lined. Unfortunately, I can only show you the lined ones. So let's have a look at one of them only, because they are technically the same. Here you start with your watercolor paper, then you've got an orange cardboard, which is thinner, and then you've got an entry page where you can write down a title for that notebook. I think in the A5 size it's absolutely perfect for bullet journaling, this one. And here you've got the Rhodia design. Oh, just a bit of information about this. The Rhodia design was designed by, was it Robert or Henry's wife? She was called Antonia, and she designed that very beautiful, very simple but efficient design, which is meant to recall the two brothers, 1, 2, and the Rhodanian mountains. So nice, so simple. I love it, and I love to have it on my notebooks. This. Right. So you start with an index. Again, the orange color, which is a thread, and also in the middle. And you've got your contents page with a line for the page numbers. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. 7! My fault. Oh, you've got one little bit of stitching that is going away. So it's hand stitched as well. And on the other side, you start page number 1. And a square at the top for the date, and then you've got lines, and you've got one with grids as well, so you can actually bullet journal in this. You can adapt it very simply. So basically what's interesting with that kind of row binding is this. It stays perfectly flat everywhere. Absolutely perfectly flat, anywhere you take this. And so it goes on to page 152, and the paper is the same quality as in the other ones. So that's very nice, and I think the A5 size would be nice for those of you who bullet journal. So that's the end of this. In my next video I will be showing you the notepads in the Rhodiorama collection, which is the one I actually use the most while I work. And I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit long, but it was quite full and packed, so I'm sorry. But I think you got plenty of information in this. And definitely that collection is a really beautiful collection, and that's quite absolutely worth it. Definitely worth it. I mean, there's nothing that's not worth it in their line of products. It's really very nice quality notebooks, as long as you like kind of pure, simple designs and a kind of constant thread in their collections, which is exactly what I'm looking for myself. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.